Okay, take two. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Donna from Artists and Oracles. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm doing something a little bit different, and this is take two because in take one I proceeded to call this deck by the wrong name several times, which is too funny. I called it, okay, I'm not going to say what I called it. All right, let's start with the correct name. As many of you know, this is a beloved deck. This is the Druidcraft Tarot. Okay, I'll tell you at the end what I called it. And I recently modded it, and I thought it would be fun to show you how it came out and just give a quick little, little chat about how I mod decks, how I got started modding decks, and how I used to think that modding decks was sacrilegious, shall we say, okay? So let's start there. I knew nothing about modding decks until about 2 years ago when I discovered TarotTube and I heard everyone talking about it, and I was aghast, and I thought, oh, why would anyone cut their decks, alter their decks, marker their decks, what are they doing to their decks? That's sacrilegious. Oh mon dieu. And so then I watched a whole buttload of TarotTube, like many of us do. And little by little I began to learn the reasons why we do this. And for me, the only reason I do it now is if a deck is too big for my hands. Okay, other people just do it because they don't like the look of things. They want borders off, they want this, they want that. But for me, it's totally practical. I have pretty small hands. Okay, there's my hand in comparison to this big card. Okay, my hand is really not much bigger than this card. And it's hard for me to shuffle these big chunky cards, and then if it's a big deck and it's glossy, blah blah blah. So here's my rule of thumb. So that's number one. Number two is I really only mod decks that have a nice, easy border with straight edges to take off. So in this case, the Pagan Otherworlds had this big honkin' white border on the front, which was, unnecessary to many of us, and really did nothing for the beauty of the cards. And when you can cut right along that and take it off, it's really easy, because I like to only use scissors. I'm not a fan of paper cutters. I have a big old-fashioned paper cutter, and it freaks me out, you guys. I don't know. It's just like too sharp, and then I feel like I have to do math and, line it up and all this stuff, and it's just sort of like, ugh, I only want to be able to cut, right? So if a deck has edges that I can follow and use my handy-dandy Tim Holtz scissors, which these are fabulous for edging decks, so I wanted to show you guys that. Look, they have these big handles, and they're just weighted nice and sharp. So this is all I use now, is this pair of scissors for modding. So if a deck has these kind of edges, then I'll go for it. There's one other deck that I have edged, again out of necessity, that I did use a paper cutter for, with assistance from my husband, I must say. And that was Tarot of the She. And that actually came out pretty well. Maybe I'll show that some other time. But anyway, so I have completed this deck and edged it, and it is so much better. So check out the edging. Let me give you a nice shot of this. I mixed the two Sharpies that you see in the background there, gold and bronze. I did sort of half and half. And I really loved how it looks. Here's the whole deck together. To me, it's, see, I'm not a big fan of gilded edging, especially when it's super shiny like gold, but these Sharpies, sorry, one-handed, what can I tell you? And I'm trying not to make you dizzy, and I'm trying not to film this again because I've done several takes. Yeah, but anyway, there's the golden the gold and bronze Sharpies. And I really like them, and I will use them again. I know I've done the gold before on a deck, but I'd never tried the bronze. But see, with these yummy, kind of brick red fronts. I had to try them, and I really love it. So that's how it came out, and here's the fronts. See, and look how much better they are without the, you don't need the white. And, you know, if you're wondering like, oh, all that work, you know, is it worth it? And what's it gonna do to just trim off a little white edge? You know, here's the size, just to give you a little scale. But it does make a big difference. Like, I can handle this deck so much better now. I just can't show you one-handed, but, you know, I can overhand shuffle this deck now. It's much easier to use. And the other thing I'll just share with you is this wonderful edger, which I learned about around town here on the tarot tubes. I heard the word on the street was that this was the one and only corner edger to get and use on your decks. And that is the truth, I guess. I didn't try any others. I just went straight for this. Check it out. Look, it's got small, medium, and large settings. I mostly use medium. Seems to kind of be perfect for decks of all sizes. And even with this deck, you see how I did, you know, I kind of had to mess with the design on the back of the card, which is another rule of mine. Like, I don't like to do that, especially if it's a big, large design and it's sacred geometry in some form. I don't like to do that because I feel like it messes with the energy of the deck. Like Tarot of the She, I did not touch that glyph on the back of the deck because I didn't want that spoiled. So yeah, anyway, that's another story. But you know, this didn't come out too bad. And then, you know, I had to round and put the nice round corners back because the corners were too sharp to leave them as they were. But you know, you can still see a little bit of that sweet little kind of swirly heart, and you've still got the gold. And the other thing I was going to share with you about this deck is I cut it from the front. So I cut along the edge of the white and took the white out. And that's how I did it. And it worked really well. I didn't try to cut it from the backs. And that's sort of my general rule of thumb. You know, if you're taking off a white edge, whether it's front or back, you know, cut along that white edge. And don't, you know, just try not to worry about the other side. I mean, you have to look back and forth before you start it and kind of eyeball it and see what you're going to lose. The other really good thing to do, I couldn't do it with this deck, is if there's any kind of extra card that comes with the deck, cut that first. You know, do that as a demo. And then you'll see like your results, what you're going to get into. I did that with the Thoth deck. That was the very first deck I modded. The big size Thoth deck. And I used one of the extra cards in there and cut that. So I don't know, a couple little tips. Maybe this will help someone. And while we're here, I'll just give you a little quick tour around my collage bench for fun. Let me see if I can pull back a little bit. Probably up close it looks messy, but you know, it's not really. It's stocked and organized and super functional. And it's a working studio. This is what it looks like in a working studio. And piles of images and papers. There's one of my pieces. One of my favorite pieces that I love. So that's it, you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know your thoughts on modding or this deck or tools or collage or anything else. Or just say hi, and that's it. Hope to see you guys again. Take care.